They've touched our hearts, they've made us smile, and became dear friends.
John Travolta did not just arrive at Cannes. He arrived looking like he had stepped into a completely different chapter of his own legend. A dark, close-cropped beard, thin round glasses, formal black and white style, and most noticeably, a series of slouching berets that instantly became the detail everyone wanted to talk about. But this was not random. Travolta was at Cannes for a reason. He was promoting Propeller One-Way Night Coach, his first film as a director. And when people began questioning the look, he finally explained it. He said he wanted to play the part of an old-school director. And suddenly, what looked like a fashion surprise became something much more calculated. So the real question is this: was John Travolta simply having fun with a new image, or was he carefully turning Cannes into a personal reinvention moment? Because this was not just another celebrity outfit. This was a Hollywood veteran, after more than 50 years in film, stepping into one of the most prestigious festivals in the world and making sure people remembered this exact moment. And the more he explained it, the more interesting the story became. Travolta appeared at the 2026 Cannes Film Festival to present Propeller One-Way Night Coach, a family film and his first directorial project. But instead of the conversation focusing only on the movie, the public quickly became fixated on his new appearance. Entertainment Weekly described the look as striking. A dark, close-cropped beard, circular glasses, and berets that gave him an old-school filmmaker image. It was stylish, deliberate, and impossible to ignore. And then Travolta gave the explanation that changed the tone of the whole conversation. He said he had been making movies for over 50 years, but when he looked back, events could blend together. So this time, he wanted Cannes to feel vivid. He told himself he was a director now, so he should look like a director. He researched images from earlier decades and noticed that old-school directors wore berets and glasses. So he decided to pay homage to that image. That's where the drama really started to build, because the look was not just about fashion. It was about identity. For decades, John Travolta has been known as an actor, the star of Saturday Night Fever, Grease, and Pulp Fiction. But at Cannes, he was trying to mark a different version of himself. Not just the performer people remembered, not just the celebrity from old posters and iconic movie scenes. This time, he wanted to be seen as the person behind the camera. And that shift is what made people react so strongly. At first, the public saw the surface, the beard, the glasses, the beret. It was easy to turn that into a viral moment. Some saw it as bold. Some saw it as unusual. Others simply could not stop talking about how different he looked. But that wasn't the part that mattered most. The deeper layer was that Travolta seemed fully aware of what he was doing. He was not accidentally creating a viral fashion moment. He was building a memory around this event. He wanted to look back and immediately know that was Cannes. That was Propeller One-Way Night Coach. That was the moment he stepped into the role of director. And then another layer appeared. Travolta was also honored at Cannes with an honorary Palme d'Or, a lifetime achievement recognition. That made the whole appearance feel even bigger. He was not only introducing a new film, he was being celebrated for decades of work in cinema. When he accepted the honor, he called it a humbling moment and said it was beyond the Oscar. That reaction gave the story emotional weight. It reminded people that this was not just about a hat. It was about legacy. But there was one important detail that made the story more complicated. Even though Travolta joked about remembering this as the moment he won the Palme d'Or, Propeller One-Way Night Coach was not actually competing for the main Palme d'Or. The film was playing in Cannes Premiere, a non-competitive section. So the award he received was honorary, not a competition prize for this movie. That distinction matters, because it shows how easily a glamorous festival moment can blur the line between celebration, image-making, and public interpretation. People saw Travolta at Cannes, saw the headlines, saw the new look, saw the Palme d'Or mention, and suddenly, it all felt like one huge comeback statement. But the reality was more layered. Travolta was being honored for a career that has already left a major mark on film history. His past connection to Cannes is also significant. Pulp Fiction, one of the defining films of his career, won the Palme d'Or in 1994. Other films connected to his career have also appeared at Cannes in different sections over the years. So when he returned in 2026 with a directorial debut and a new visual identity, it was almost impossible for the public not to read symbolism into it. This is where the story becomes less about appearance and more about control. John Travolta seemed to understand that Cannes is not just a festival. It is a stage. Every look, every quote, every appearance can become part of a larger narrative. And instead of letting the public decide the meaning of his new image, he gave them the explanation himself. He was not trying to hide the transformation. He was framing it. And that is what made the moment so effective. Travolta's role in this story is fascinating, because he is both the subject of the buzz and the person directing the meaning behind it. He knows people are looking. He knows they are comparing this version of him to the star they remember. But instead of resisting that attention, he uses it. The beret becomes a symbol. The glasses become part of the character. The beard helps complete the image, and Cannes becomes the perfect backdrop for a public reinvention. The public, meanwhile, is reacting to two things at once: nostalgia and surprise. They remember Travolta as an actor. They remember the iconic roles. But now they are seeing him present himself as something different: a director, an artist paying tribute to cinema history, and a man trying to make one specific moment unforgettable. And that is why this story is bigger than a celebrity fashion headline. Because what is really at stake is legacy. For a star who has spent more than 50 years in movies, every major public appearance now carries meaning. Is this a comeback? Is this a reinvention? Is this a tribute? Is this a final grand chapter, or the beginning of something new? The Cannes look forced people to ask those questions. And the twist is that Travolta's answer was surprisingly simple. He wanted the moment to stand out. But simple does not mean small. Because when a Hollywood icon deliberately changes how the world sees him, people pay attention. And when that change happens at Cannes, during a directorial debut, while receiving a lifetime honor, it becomes more than style. It becomes a statement. Still, the ending is not fully written. Propeller One-Way Night Coach may be the project that marks Travolta's transition into directing. Or it may be remembered mainly for the viral look that surrounded its Cannes debut. Either way, Travolta made sure people would not confuse this moment with any other event in his long career. And maybe that was the whole point.